Over the weekend, the Minerals Council said Australia needs affordable, reliable and clean energy, but we're not seeing that with the current government's plan. That is harsh language for business leaders to use in their government relations. But One Nation Senator Malcolm Roberts has been harsher, saying net zero equals zero jobs. Everywhere net zero equals zero jobs everywhere. The Senator is online. Malcolm Roberts, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Before we talk about this very important issue and others, the news has broken this morning that Donald Trump has told reporters that there will be a 25% tariff on steel and aluminium to apply to everyone. We're presuming that includes Australia. We export $638 million of those commodities to the United States. They will now have a 25% impost. It will hurt if it does apply to Australia. What's your reaction to the news?
The reaction, first of all, Chris, is that if it's true and it applies to everyone, then we have got a serious issue. But you know Donald Trump, or we know of Donald Trump, and he quite often throws the grenades out there, watches the bits fall, and then makes up his mind what to do. So I think that what should happen here is the Australian government needs to get on the phone, exactly as you said a little while ago, to Donald Trump and sort it out.
Yeah, that's got to be the case. You said, let's move on to what we're talking about. You said that when you looked at the industrial production of Germany, which is on the way to low levels not seen since the pandemic, explain to me, what the hell are we doing? The mining industry is trying to toll the warning, toll the bell. I just don't think that Anthony Albanese wants to take his fingers out of his ears.
One of your listeners spoke very, very well. He called this an ideology war, an idea war.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. This is just blatant ideology. Chris Bowen and Anthony Albanese, Jenny McAllister, and all the others in the cabinet have never provided the empirical scientific data as part of a logical scientific points or framework.
Yeah.
That's fundamental. This actually contradicts the science, the empirical evidence.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're trying to put in place ideology from the United Nations and the World Economic Forum. And the sad thing is that Liberals are doing the same thing. Liberals have sworn themselves to uphold net zero as well, the Paris Agreement. And so what we're doing is we're going down an ideology path which is going to destroy our country. The fundamental thing about modern society is energy. China, India, Brazil, Russia are all saying, we want cheap energy, go to hell. You know, the Paris Agreement is not really an agreement, Chris. It's basically because they couldn't come to terms with an agreement back in 2015 when the Paris Agreement was signed. It's basically each country says, we will do whatever we want. That's our agreement. And that's what they did. In our country, the Liberals under Morrison and Turnbull, at the time it was Turnbull, I think, and then the Labor Party under Albanese have both said, we will enact severe suppressions on our energy sector. China, India, and all the rest saying we might one day in 2050. So what we're doing is decimating ourselves.
Yeah. And they must be laughing. You know, they must be absolutely laughing.
Well, they know, you know, countries in Asia, Africa, China, India, they look at history and they see what caused us to develop and to become more civilized materially was cheap hydrocarbon fuel, coal, oil, and natural gas. They're not fossil fuels. That's a derogatory term that people have been stuck with pushing this scam. But they're hydrocarbon fuels, coal, oil, and natural gas. That's the secret to developing civilization, the secret to human progress.
Yeah.
And what China and the others are doing is sending us material that'll hamper us, suppress our development, suppress our civilization, suppress our economy, and make it easier for them. Guess who's shipping most of the solar panels and wind turbines to this country? China.
Yeah, exactly.
Made out of Australian coal.
And there's Anthony Albanese tonight talking to business and the mining industry, trying to say, oh, we need you. Well, you haven't sounded like you've needed us at all because you've demonised what we've done.
Exactly. As I said, the number one factor in being competitive in every sector is cheap electricity, cheap power. That's what got us to the top. We used to have the world's cheapest electricity, the most affordable electricity.
Yeah.
It's now amongst the most expensive.
Yeah.
China, using coal-fired power, sells electricity at 8 cents a kilowatt hour. In Australia, 26 cents a kilowatt hour.
It's criminal.
And it is criminal. They're destroying lives, they're destroying livelihoods, they're destroying the future of this country.
Yep. I love seeing you take on the government and others with a common sense approach and those simple, obvious, revealing questions in these Senate inquiries. And you've got stuck into the Defence Force top brass for awarding themselves a chest full of medals for doing nothing and ignoring the soldiers who actually did the work. Bravo to you.
Thank you so much. It was my motion that got an inquiry into the awarding of defence medals and honours. And I was on that committee last Friday all day. And Chris, the overriding things that come out of that were the first four witnesses, but all the witnesses from the ranks, the first four witnesses from the SAS were very, very impressive.
Yeah.
Clear thinkers, highly intelligent, dedicated. They weren't there to whinge and moan that they didn't get an award or a medal. They were there because they understand this is fundamentally about morale and mateship, which is the driving force, the cohesive glue in the Australian military. And they want to make sure that people can have recognition of service, which is a recognition of the contribution of their life, maybe 10, 20 years. And so they were dead set on that. It's a huge issue because it's affecting the morale right throughout the Defence Forces. And what comes to the fore, Chris, is the senior command of our armed forces is asleep. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. They
have got no idea of the fundamental ways to recognise people. There's a two-tier award system. The officers, the senior command, seemingly getting medals, while others in the lower ranks are missing out.
An insult to our veterans. It's just an insult. I want to quickly get to hate speech laws. It was sprung on Parliament with no warning, rushed through using procedural tricks to avoid scrutiny and debate, and deliberately designed to deny a proper scrutiny. I just don't understand that kind of democracy. It's not democracy the way I was taught it should be.
Correct. That's it. They tried to shut down debate. They gave 1 hour to rushed it into the Senate, gave 1 hour to discuss it, and then guillotined it. And the Attorney General, in his media release this morning, discusses the provisions as hate speech. It's a hate crimes bill. He's sowing confusion. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Then we've got Senator Rennick, who I've got a lot of time for, said in the video on Thursday, quote, "The two major parties with the support of One Nation have actually voted for the hate crimes bill." That is a false statement. One Nation actually abstained, and I can give you very good reasons why we abstained.
Why did you?
Very simple. We opposed the government joining with the LNP to rush the bill into the Senate with no warning on cutting debate, and then the Greens ramming the bill through. So our vote wouldn't have made a difference anyway. We also support free speech. We also think all Australians should be safe, including people with HIV, AIDS, religions. We support that aspect of the bill. What we opposed, the details in the bill and the explanatory memorandum, mandatory sentencing in this aspect, we sometimes support that in cases of terrorism and so on, but not in this aspect. The bill was drafted too quickly. It was a terrible bill. We supported an amendment to more tightly define physical violence and threats of physical force.
Yeah.
The Labor, Liberal, Nationals and Greens opposed that. We supported the crossbench amendment to extend the debate. That was defeated. The Liberal, Labor, Nationals, Greens stitch-up meant that 66 votes in favour. There was no way all the crossbenchers could defeat them, so the bill was going to pass. So what could we do? Normally, we would oppose a rush bill where scrutiny and debate is denied us. But we had to use our opportunity. We couldn't speak, so we had to use our opportunity to send a signal. We had to oppose the bill. There's no way we're going to support this bill. We did oppose the rush process and the guillotining. We needed to send a signal to support people needing protection. There are people in our country facing genuine threats of violence and terrorism.
Sure.
We must protect their safety.
Sure.
One Nation upholds Australian values of keeping Australians safe. So therefore the conclusion was, don't vote for it, that's for sure. Don't be sending signals that would say we oppose protecting people. So we just said abstain.
Yeah. I'm hearing you. It's a fair explanation. Malcolm, I know you've got things on your plate. Thank you very much for giving us your time this morning.
You're welcome, Chris. Keep it up, mate.
Fantastic. Much appreciated. One Nation Senator Malcolm Roberts.